To understand Baker Mayfield, I want to tell you guys a story. I've been arguing with a friend of mine. I go to Washington State University. And a friend of mine and I have been butting heads about college. I struggle with college. I'm not a big fan of college. I very begrudgingly attend Washington State. I want to be a broadcaster someday, and it bothers me, like, why am I writing history papers? But all in all, I've found Washington State is the perfect place for me. He does not feel that way. My buddy's transferring. He said, I quote, "I don't feel like there's enough opportunities here at Washington State University." I couldn't disagree more. I really, really struggled with that. We butted heads. I believe you need to create your own opportunities. College is not there to hand you a job. College is there to challenge you, prepare you, you can learn some skills, but ultimately it's on you to create your own opportunities. If you know someone, that's great. I got a job in Los Angeles because I met a guy this summer. I worked really hard. I networked with him. He gave me a job. But if you don't know someone, that's okay. Earn it. Make it happen. I left that job. I came here to Washington State because I want to build my own thing. If the door isn't open for you, kick it down. Make it happen. I really believe that. I strongly believe that. That is why I do Strong Opinion Sports. I want to be on camera. I want to talk about sports, and I just love it. So I'm creating my own opportunities. He felt like there's not enough opportunities for him, and we talked about it. He emailed someone, and if it were me, I would have emailed them. I would have found them on Facebook. I would have gone to their office. I would have really tracked them down, but there's a difference. Someone who goes after it, someone who kicks the door down really, really wants an opportunity. They want it very badly. Actions speak louder than words. You know who goes after opportunities? You know who kicks doors down? Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield has walked onto 2 college football teams and made it. He became a starter at both schools. He has now won the Heisman Trophy. You cannot tell me, no matter what you feel about Baker Mayfield, some people think he's cocky, some people love him, some people hate him. No matter how you feel about Baker Mayfield, you cannot tell me Baker Mayfield doesn't work his butt off and want to be successful. It's crazy. I see all these comparisons between Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson. People compare Baker Mayfield to Johnny Manziel, even Cam Newton. It's really ridiculous. I want to start by talking about those comparisons, tell you why he doesn't translate to any of them, and why Baker Mayfield is really his own beast. First, people compare him to Russell Wilson. It's because he's short. Russell Wilson's short. Baker Mayfield's short. Can Baker Mayfield be successful in the NFL? So they compare him to Russell Wilson. Baker Mayfield is nothing like Russell Wilson. Baker Mayfield is not as good of an athlete, doesn't have as good of an arm. Russell Wilson is far more reserved than Baker Mayfield. There's no similarities. They're just both short. That's the only comparison you can draw. Then you compare him to Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel is also short, but Johnny Manziel, again, is a far better athlete than Baker Mayfield. Now, the one comparison they both have a couple issues on and off the field. Baker Mayfield got in trouble for holding his crotch earlier this year. He also got in trouble with the police a little while ago. But Baker Mayfield is a hard worker. He has work ethic. Johnny Manziel couldn't figure it out. He couldn't stop partying. Johnny Manziel's partying got in the way of him being successful. And the last comparison is Cam Newton. First of all, they're nothing alike in stature. Cam Newton's 6'5", 6'6". Baker Mayfield's barely 6 feet. They're not even close. Cam Newton's a far better athlete. Now, you talk about maturity. Cam Newton and Baker Mayfield, you can both question their maturity, but Cam Newton really struggles with maturity. Like, Cam Newton can't even sit down and get through an interview with a reporter. He's awful. He gets in the way of himself all the stinking time. So if Baker Mayfield doesn't compare to Russell Wilson or Johnny Manziel or Cam Newton, what is Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield is absolutely fueled by passion and love for the game. I've told this story many times. I was hanging out with Trent Dilfer one time. I got to work with him very closely. He knew me by name. It was a ton of fun. He asked our group, do you love football or do you love what football brings you? I promise you, Baker Mayfield loves football. Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, they got in their own way. Their immaturity, their on the field and off the field actions got in the way of them being a professional. You can criticize Baker Mayfield on the field and off the field all you want, but Baker Mayfield will not be a problem when it comes to being professional. Baker Mayfield will go into whatever football team drafts him and work his butt off. You don't overcome all the obstacles Baker Mayfield has had to overcome to stop now. Baker Mayfield had to walk onto Texas Tech. Then he had to walk onto Oklahoma. He's had to overcome obstacle after obstacle after obstacle, and everywhere he has gone, he has been successful. That is because Baker Mayfield loves football and Baker Mayfield works his butt off. You can also talk about off the field. I think Baker Mayfield got arrested once. That's a very valid concern. I challenge you, look up Ben Roethlisberger's problems with the police. I'm not going to get into it. I think that would distract from the ultimate topic. But Ben Roethlisberger's had issues with the police as well, and that guy has 2 Super Bowls. You can bet against Baker Mayfield all you want, but I will never do that. I believe in Baker Mayfield. I think Baker Mayfield has always overcome everything you throw his way. I'm never going to bet against Baker Mayfield because the guy has something very special. Baker Mayfield loves the game of football. You don't start your own podcast unless you love talking about sports and want to broadcast. You don't walk onto 2 different football teams unless you absolutely love football. I believe in Baker Mayfield. I believe he will be successful in the NFL. Despite the fact, the guy who has won the Heisman, which seems to really affect you as a quarterback. I think Sam Bradford did, Matt Leinart did, Tim Tebow did, Robert Griffin did. Every quarterback that wins the Heisman seems unable to succeed in the NFL. If anyone can overcome that obstacle, it is Baker Mayfield.